Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVOICE to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Open borders, shameful abandonment, disregard for human life, the prospect of more mandates and lockdowns, and the list goes on. Now more than ever, we need to stick together. Voting alone is not enough. We must use our dollars to support like-minded companies that fight for our rights and beliefs. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider who shares your values. Last year, we gave more than $500,000 to conservative causes. With your support, we'll give more than $1.5 million this year. It's time to band together and support companies that truly love America and fight for our freedoms. Will you join us?
Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVOICE to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Open borders, shameful abandonment, disregard for human life, the prospect of more mandates and lockdowns, and the list goes on. Now more than ever, we need to stick together. Voting alone is not enough. We must use our dollars to support like-minded companies that fight for our rights and beliefs. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider who shares your values. Last year, we gave more than $500,000 to conservative causes. With your support, we'll give more than $1.5 million this year. It's time to band together and support companies that truly love America and fight for our freedoms. Will you join us?
Radio, covering the latest state and local issues with Tom Fallbush, Bob Scott, and Jim Waters.
Well, 50 years after Indiana University was the last college basketball team to go undefeated and win the NCAA crown, the football Hoosiers, yes, that's right, the football Hoosiers go undefeated in the 2025-26 season and win the national championship. You're looking there at the scene following the completion of that game last night down in Miami, Florida, where Indiana defeated the Miami Hurricanes 27-21 in one of the greatest college football games ever played. And I don't say that lightly, and I've seen a lot of games, but this was another level of excitement for and especially for folks in our area. You know, I know this isn't a sports show, but in case you don't know, the station you're listening to this program on right now, 970 WGTK, is part of the Word Media Group. But so is the Big X, which is the home of Indiana University sports in this Louisville media market. And if you were listening to the game anywhere around here last night, you were listening on that station, and you got to hear the iconic Don Fisher, who became the well-known voice of the Hoosiers under basketball coach Bobby Knight, and who I grew up listening to back in Wabash, Indiana, call the college football championship, and he got to declare IU the national football champion. So congratulations from all of Kentuckiana to the Indiana University Hoosiers, college football champions, to their wonderful quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, who ironically was rejected by the Miami Hurricanes, who even denied him a walk-on offer. So it had to be especially sweet to win this victory against that team on their home field nonetheless, and just about a mile from where he actually grew up. How about that? You can't make this. This story will write itself. But we also, great game last night, but we have a great show for you today. We're going to cover what's happening in the pro-life movement in our state this year in Kentucky. Very important. We're going to look at what leaders in the movement are asking of the legislature during the 2026 General Assembly, which is now fully underway, and what you can do to help protect the unborn in Kentucky and support the Right to Life movement. Also, there's a national march, of course, going on, and we're going to talk about all of this in just a moment with our great co-host. But first of all, let me tell you what you can do to support our efforts here at Kentucky's Voice so that we can continue to bring you this reporting and analyzing of the news from a conservative, common sense, and Christian-based perspective. First of all, you can join the conversation. Give us your thoughts, your comments, your opinions on our Kentucky's Voice text line. That's at 502-571-0970. You don't even have to make a call. You can just text us your comment. We'll get it on the air. If you get it to us here in the first part of the program, we'll get it on today. And also, you can support this program with a one-time or a monthly gift by texting KY Voice to 53555. That's 53555, and just text the word KY Voice, KYVOICE, to 53555. And this is a listener-supported program, so we rely on your financial support to make this work. And how else can you support us? Well, if you're a business owner, there's yet one other way you can help us and financially support us, and that's by investing in one of our many advertising marketing packages designed to help you build your brand and grow your business by reaching some of the most loyal listeners in the state and in the area. So give me a call, Jim Waters, at 270-320-4376, and I'll help get your business on the air. We have 5 radio, 2 TV stations, including the one you're listening to this program on right here, 970 WGTK. And you can see later on today on WBNA TV, Channel 21, right here in the greater Louisville area. Folks, we have a middle to upper income audience that's conservative and that supports the businesses that support this effort. So give me a call or just text me at 502-571-0970, and I'll follow up with you. Coming up, we'll be joined by Adia Wuchner and Lucy Bryson Cole of Kentucky Right to Life as we look back over 2025, the many things accomplished by this vital, wonderful organization, and we look ahead to 2026, an organization that's been instrumental in making Kentucky one of the nation's leading right to life states. Stay with us right here on Kentucky's Voice.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
Jim Waters here with you on Kentucky's Voice today, and I'm glad to be joined by my co-host, Adia Wuchner, who is the executive director of Kentucky Right to Life. Prior to that, she represented the 66th District in Northern Kentucky in the Kentucky General Assembly for 14 years. She's also a registered nurse. During her legislative tenure, Adia was the first woman to be appointed as chair of the House Standing Committee on Health and Family Services, and she has certainly done a great job of supporting those issues and really leading the Right to Life movement here in our state. Also joining us, we're delighted today to have Lucy Bryson Cole, a former reporter with WKYT Television in Lexington, who recently came on board as Kentucky Right to Life's outreach coordinator. I know Adia will be introducing her and talking more about her role in a moment, but let me say welcome, ladies. I don't think there's a better time of the year, and there's certainly a lot going on to discuss the importance of defending, protecting, and enhancing life. Talk a little bit today about what's going on. Give us an update and bring us up to speed on what's happening with the issues that I know you've been following and what we're going to talk about today. Adia, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you for having us on Kentucky's Voice today. First of all, from Washington to Kentucky, so much is happening right here in our own state. This is week 3 of the Kentucky General Assembly, and they were out yesterday for the holiday, and they're going to be back in again. We've got bills. We're going to talk about those later, that some that are filed, some that are percolating, and some that are ready to be filed and where they are. But before I begin, I really would like to introduce Lucy. I know you kind of introduced her a little bit, but I'd like to introduce Lucy. You know, when I took this position 5 years ago, I came on board and it was just me, and it's been crazy, and folks have come to help a little bit and gone. And Melinda Prunty, former state representative, helps me in Frankfurt sometimes. But I knew that I needed either to clone myself or do something. And I prayed. Literally, I was praying. A lot of people didn't know. It said the right person. And guess what else? Someone else was praying. So I'd like to introduce Lucy Cole, and I'm going to let her tell that her segment of the story.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Adia. Yeah, at the same time that Adia was praying, I was also praying as well. I had been in the TV industry for about 3 years, thought that it was exactly what I wanted to do. But I realized while unbiased figures are very important for local TV, I couldn't hide my Christian faith. I couldn't hide my passion for this stance. And I needed to use my voice, my gift that I believe that God gave me, for something good and for what I really believed in. So I was praying and praying and praying, trying to figure out what my next step would be, because I never felt like I'd leave the TV world. And I was connected through a friend to Adia, and we spoke, and it just felt like all of our prayers had kind of come together in that moment to make something beautiful. So I've been here for just about 2 months, learning the ropes from the best here and kind of getting my footing. So I thank you so much for inviting me on today.
Yeah, well,
Thank you.
congratulations and great move. And I can't think of a better organization in our state that really is carrying the banner for so many important issues. And you've had some successes, Adia, and I wanted to talk about those. I think it's important for us to recognize when good things happen, as well as we're going to attack certainly some of the things that we're concerned about related to the pro-life movement, and we'll certainly get to that. But talk about some of the successes. Let's turn to the Safe Haven Baby Box program. Tell us what that is and how that's worked. I know there's been some success with that. I think our listeners would really like to hear about this.
And we really want to talk about that more because a lot of people know about it, but thank you, Jim, because a lot of people don't. That bill was sponsored in 2021 by Representative Nancy Tate. It was House Bill 155. What's amazing about Safe Haven Baby Box is that it passed with no opposition. That's very, in Frankfurt, where things are choppy and dicey, it's hard to get everybody on the same platform on the same page. 100% of the vote in the House and the Senate, it went to the governor, who of course wasn't, let's say, an oppositional party from the majority, signed by the governor and signed into law. And so since then, we now have, as of this December, 62 Safe Haven Baby Boxes in the Commonwealth. Now, our goal is one in every county and then some.
And how does that work? What's the goal there?
Well, in 1999, we had around the country Safe Haven laws. They were started in Texas, and they were starting to crop up. So then what happened in 2002 and subsequent years, we kind of refined it in Kentucky, saying a baby could be surrendered at a hospital or a police station without any question asked. But the Safe Haven Baby Boxes actually, it wasn't happening like you'd like to see it happen, or what we should. We knew that babies were still being abandoned. They were found in horrible places and horrible conditions. I even go back to my nursing days. I had my own story of an infant in a duffel bag, frozen in the middle of the night, brought into the emergency room. So we knew this was happening. Well, Monica Kelsey, who has her own story, she later finds out in her life of being left unabandoned. Her mother was raped, and she surrendered Monica. So she really wasn't abandoned. Her mother wanted the best for her, but it wasn't with Monica as a mother. So as her story, her life story unfolds, she makes this her mission. And is a former firefighter herself, and also had served in the United States Navy. She went about she went to Africa, went to other countries, and she saw a baby box. She sketched it out on the way home in the plane. She sketched out to the design. So for most of us, we think about an incubator in the hospital, a little baby incubator that you see in a hospital. That is exactly what it looks like. But what happens is it is hooked up, it is monitored, and it is carved out and placed into the wall once everything has been approved of a firehouse or an EMS center. No name, no shame, no blame. And that's what's unique. A mother in crisis, a couple in crisis can surrender, and it's not really abandoning. They can place that child because they know parenting is not the best for them. They have the first 30 days of life. It is all hooked up to electronics. So monitor, it's someone, we were doing a baby box in December, and a blessing, and it was cold. And someone said when they opened, they were surprised. It's temperature controlled. It's nice and warm. What made you want to, we're staying outside in the cold. We really wanted to stick all of our hands in there and feel that warmth. But they can place that baby once the door is shut. It's not like someone can come along from the outside. The response time is almost less than a minute or a minute and a half till that baby has been then lovingly taken out the other side, and then will be transported immediately to a medical facility for a full examination. So it's wonderful. We've had 3 children already in a baby box in Kentucky, and they're all now placed in adoption and with what I call their forever home.
Yeah, that's so great, and I think it's important to recognize that what's happened there, and how people did come together, even in the legislature, even among politicians who can be very partisan at times. But I think that's a great point. Just tell us a little more. We got a couple of minutes in this segment. Let's wrap up this segment by talking maybe about some of the other work you did last year, and then we can move into 2026 in our upcoming segments. But what else do you want to say about the work that was done last year, Adia?
Last year was really remarkable. There was one bill and we concentrated. We kept kind of quiet about it. We were working behind the scenes. It was House Bill 90. It was really had to do with birthing centers, if you looked at it. But meanwhile, we were crafting out the language, in all the ads when we had the Yes for Life campaign, and all the ads and all those who work against us. They kept saying, women in Kentucky are at risk because they can't get an abortion. Women are in Kentucky at risk for, what about their miscarriage, stillborn? What if they have an infection or sepsis? They're not going to be treated. So we came together, and again, it was a lot of prayer and thought, working with Kentucky ACOG, and came together with what's not an abortion. We know what is an abortion in Kentucky law, but let's talk about what's not. And we defined it into law, made that clarification, so there's no question about it, that women who are experiencing a miscarriage, they're septic, bleeding, a stillborn, it defines that these are not an abortion or a molar pregnancy, so that women may be, there's no doubt for hospital attorneys to worry, these women will be treated in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And that was very, very important.
We hear so much of the fear mongering about these issues that never come to pass. We need to point that out, right? I mean, that, a lot of the fear mongering by those who oppose the right to life message never happens.
Right. And we knew it wasn't true, but it was just fear mongering.
And
but
that
we need to get. And you also have the concern, we had OBs, some of the newer ones coming through, saying, well, we're not going to be able to treat patients. And I said, that's not going to happen. Well, we wanted to make sure that there was clarity for the women and the girls of Kentucky. And that was very, very important. So Kentucky's come a long way. In 2002, we had fetal homicide. And then we went for years with I was there, I call them the dark years, unable to pass pro-life legislation until 2017. And then in 2018 did the live dismemberment. And then after that, as things changed, we went from being 27th in the country to being in the top 10 pro-life states in the nation.
Yeah, it's amazing. And we're talking with Adia Wuchner, Executive Director of Kentucky Right to Life. And that House Bill 90 was the freestanding birthing centers bill, right? That
right.
That has been a long time in the coming, and that will allow expectant mothers who don't want to have their babies in a cold hospital, as I was told, to have some options. And we removed some regulations and some obstacles to that. So great. Stay with us. Coming up, we'll talk about the abortion pill trafficking, end-of-life concerns. Life concerns don't just involve the unborn, they involve the end of life as well. Stay with us. More coming up on Right to Life on Kentucky's Voice. Stay with us.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
And thanks for staying with us here on Kentucky's Voice. You're listening live on 970 WGTK, and you can hear us each weekday here at 11, from 11 to noon, and then watch us on television this afternoon. As we're talking to you, we're taping this and getting this ready to play on WBNA Channel 21 at 12:34 and 8 o'clock today. So thanks for joining us. Also, want to remind you about our Kentucky's Voice text line at 502-571-0970. You can text your question, comment. If you have input on an issue, we'd love to hear what that is. And this off of our Kentucky's Voice text line today. Glad for right to life. We also need to reassess no default divorce and the need to hold the family together throughout the child's life. So all important issues, but you know, and they all work together. And I know Adia Wushner, who's joining me here as my co-host today, and Lucy Bryson Cole, both with Kentucky Right to Life. I know you all are concerned about those issues as well, and that might be a good discussion for a program of its own. But right now, we want to talk about the fact that life issues don't stop at the state lines. One of the serious issues now we're confronting in Kentucky is with out-of-state, including online risks of the trafficking of illegal abortion pills. And Adia, Lucy, these are illegal pills allowing women essentially to abort their babies. Talk about the dangers that these pills present to expectant mothers and to their families, what you think the solution is here. I think part of this is an attempt to bypass the law, is it not, about abortion in Kentucky?
Very much so, because, you know, one of the things people say, well, it's already illegal in Kentucky. And we go, it is, but it's illegal to be dispensed, prescribed in any manner in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. But what's happening is, you know, we know that 62% of the terminations of human life of unborn children are done through abortion pills in some form. So where are they getting them? The traffickers, and we're now calling them, let's call them traffickers. That's exactly what they are. They're trafficking these drugs that are illegal in Kentucky through mail order, aggressive marketing. Mayday Health was one of the companies that we knew was doing aggressive marketing in rural Kentucky and in rural West Virginia with 11, what did they do? 11 ads that they were putting in gas stations, I guess, that are on the pump to market to young women and young girls this information. You know, abortionfind.com, you know, how to find your abortion pills out of state. We also have repackagers, and that would be like someone who wants to be an Amazon seller who orders these from India or from someplace, orders them outside the company, gets them into their home. And, you know, we've seen them even called three kill packs, where they're marketing to young women aggressively. You know, this is risky business. It is you know, to lose the life of your child and almost lose your own life in your dorm room, in your home bathrooms. And Lucy and I talk a lot about it. We also have our student ambassador, young women that we work on, telling us what's going on in campus, how it's being marketed on all and we'll talk a little bit about the websites and marketing. So for this session, we've worked a lot all session on what do we need to do. And so the bill that's in the works, we've worked a lot on it. And Lucy's watching how it takes time to get a bill crafted and get the legality. Yeah. So what we're calling is trafficking of pharmaceuticals that intentionally terminate life. The bill is drafted. It was the sponsor in the House. We're now sharing that with the Senate. We hope to have it filed any day. So, but it also looks at both ends of the spectrum of pharmaceuticals and drugs that terminate life. So we've talked about the abortion pill, but now
before we get away from that, be sure to let us know what that bill is, by the way, so we can be supportive here and talk more about that and follow that bill. But to Lucy, on the college campus, it's not been that long since you were there.
Just a couple of years.
But isn't it? But you're observing and paying attention to these things. You know, it seems like the more technology we have, you know, there's a lot of upside of technology, but there's also a downside in this whole sort of movement of our society from brick and mortar, buying at brick and mortar, purchasing or getting services at brick and mortar to getting it online. But this has a downside, and we're seeing this with these abortion pills, are we not?
Absolutely. And we have spoken with our student ambassador, who she is an 18-year-old girl. She's a college student, and she is getting advertisements on her social media that pop up where you can find an abortion pill, whether it's legal in your state or whether it's not. And so these algorithms are preying on these young women that might not know any better and showing them a quote unquote easy way to get access to this. And while they're showing them this, they're also not providing the correct information to make sure that they are safe. They're not providing what is correct and legal in the state, which it is not at all. But it preys on those teenage
right. You know,
youth.
it's ironic too that the same people who fear-mongered about, well, hey, if we outlaw abortion, there's going to be these back alley abortions. There's going to be this unsafe. People are going to be unsafe and trying to abort their children, and yet they're supportive of a very industry that is doing just that, and certainly has a lot of danger and fraught associated with it.
Well, and they frame it in women's health, adolescent reproductive health. We hear it all the time. So they come back to that. But the essence of this bill, why it's really unique, is a trafficking bill. So, and we don't have a bill number. And as soon as we get a bill number and it drops, we'll make sure that you know. I'm sure everyone knows. So it covers both ends. It's covering the trafficking of drugs that would terminate the life of a child coming into the state illegally, but also assisted suicide and euthanasia. They call medically assisted aid in dying. And you want to talk about what we've seen in other states. We know that it's legal in 12 states now, including the most recent being Illinois. We know of one gentleman who received the medications in his home. His family found and he took them. So we're covering both ends of pharmaceuticals that would come into the state, because this is illegal as well, that would terminate human life, making it trafficking, carrying the same, moving these drugs up on the schedule, the penalties for trafficking a drug, first time Class D, Class C felonies. And then what's unique about this, at the end of the bill, we put into that civil remedies. So you've got criminal penalties of trafficking, civil remedies for someone who might be harmed by these medications, and making sure they're aware. At the end, we don't want the abortion pill traffickers or those that are trafficking death for vulnerable citizens at the end of their life. We don't want them doing business in the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Yeah, well, you know, and so we see Kentucky Right to Life fighting for life at every stage of life, at the beginning of life, with young mothers who find themselves in difficult situations, want to do what's best for their babies, and then at the end of life as well. And where do you see that going in terms of? It seems like we have, as you said, Adia, we've got a stronger legislature, in terms of right to life than we had maybe a few years ago. So it seems to be moving in the right direction with that. But there always seems to be these issues that come up that have to be dealt with. And I think I think it's great to that you're and it's important that you all are keeping an eye on that and following that for us and helping us, helping us with that.
Jim, these young women are ended up in the hospital. We know they're seen in the hospital. Often they don't want to share what they've done. They're then at risk for retained placenta. Other things that are happening to them. So we have a wonderful General Assembly. Now, interesting enough, if folks were to look, we presented this, when were we there? November?
In November,
in a pre-committee. We met with the Pro-Life Caucus. We presented it, outlined our priorities for the session. Then we presented them in committee. And it was interesting. The first day of session, the opposite party, the minority leader there in the House, dropped about 12 to 19 bills on the House floor that day and filed them. And many of them are, because they knew where we were coming from, are direct opposite to what we're talking about. So, I mean, it's just, we can see their full hand, what they're, where they are. There was House Bill 408 was just filed 4 days ago that would allow for assisted suicide or aid in dying and try to circumvent the laws that we have. So they're aggressively, such aggressiveness at wanting to terminate life or this disregard for the sacredness of life.
Certainly, we need to keep an eye on this, and I know this is discussion going on in other states. Maybe we can talk a moment about that, what's happening in other states with that. When we come back, talking with Adia Wuchner, Lucy Bryson Cole of Kentucky Right to Life. We hope you'll stay with us on Kentucky's Voice.
Back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
We're so delighted today to have with us Adia Wuchner, the Executive Director of Kentucky Right to Life, and Lucy Bryson Cole is the Outreach Director for that wonderful organization. If you want to know more about Right to Life, go to KentuckyRightToLife.org, and you'll find out a whole lot of good information there about bills that are being considered, legislation, things we should be concerned about, what you can do to support the Right to Life movement. We'd love to hear from you today at 502-571-0970. That's our Kentucky's Voice text line. If you have a question for Adia or Lucy, a question about Right to Life, a comment about where we're headed in our state with some of these difficult issues, abortion pill trafficking, also some good news with the baby safety boxes. Let us know. Let us know what you're thinking today. 502-571-0970. Be sure to support us as well. A one-time or monthly gift, you text KY Voice to 53555. We're talking about concerns facing the Right to Life agenda, among those being the ethical procurement of organs. And Dia, Lucy, we want to talk. I know you've had growing concerns over practices surrounding organ procurement. And I don't know that a lot of people know some of the things going on here. I was amazed at this. And so I think it's important. There was a congressional hearing on this as well not long ago. Tell us about that and what's going on in terms of organ procurement that we should know about, first of all, and then be concerned about, obviously.
Well, before I even begin, let me say that those who donate organs, who make that commitment, to donate, whether it's your cornea, your heart, your liver, to make it, those are truly a gift of life. So as we are pro-life, that is a gift that gives others life. And many of us have family members that have received organs or are waiting. We know that 15 to 19 individuals die every day waiting for a vital organ. So as I say that and preface that, this isn't to take away from organ donation and that vital gift to give
important
life.
Right.
And often, the gift process, many people sign the back of their driver's license. That is a legal document. It is a legal binding document. When you sign it, that says, you say you want to, you make the decision whether you want to be an organ donor or not. But we were contacted by a mention from a legislator. And then we were contacted and reached out to, and Lucy did a little research because we heard some stories that were going on the case that's now gone before a congressional hearing. And we actually invited the whistleblowers in that case, we would say, to come in and talk, so we could hear all sides of it. So let's just say that we've met with the whistleblowers in that case. We've watched the congressional hearings, but we also met with CODA, which used to be the Kentucky Organ Donation Company. Now it's called
Network for
Hope. They sort of revamped themselves a little bit. But one of the cases that made national news was in 2021, a gentleman by the name of T.J. Hoover. Organs were being to be retrieved, and they went in to have the cath. The reason they do a cardiac cath is to make sure that maybe if your heart's going to be donated, that it can be used. Well, at that point in time, there was a determination that even though he had already been determined he was going to be an organ donor, there were signs that he was displaying some signs that he wasn't actually dead.
Yeah.
So,
wow. Yeah.
And that gentleman is alive today.
That's good.
And so as we looked into these cases and we followed the congressional hearing, and we met with the organ donation company, and they're putting for better guidelines in, making changes. We have to agree with that. But the responsibility, and I said to them, is that the legislature in Kentucky has a responsibility to the Kentucky citizens to put safeguards in. And for us as a pro-life organization, we want to honor those gifts, but we want to make sure that being pro-life, that the person is actually deceased.
Yeah.
There's a declaration of death.
Let me jump in here too, because and I know organ donations are badly needed. Obviously, there's always a lot of requests for folks to become organ donors. There are drives, there are campaigns, and understandable, and it's great, and a lot of the work is great. But do you think sometimes there's such a need for this that sometimes some of the safeguards maybe that should have been put in place weren't there, and there's just that we need to stop and make sure, like you said, that they are? I mean, it's pretty obvious that somebody should be deceased before there would be movement toward taking their organs and donating them.
And you're right, Jim. And there are different forms. There's cardiac death, brain death, and then there's DCD, where the determination that they make a determination to take you off life support because they've determined that there's irreparable damage. So, and so not getting into the circulatory death or the types of death, what we wanted to do was to make sure that when that takes place, that if there's any indication after the declaration or after the procedure has begun, or in the process of beginning the termination, that there is a pause in the procedure. If there is indication that there could be a change in the neurological status, there could be an attempt for respiration, anything that anyone on the medical team addressing those patients could.
So that's what the legislation would do, right? It would require that.
And now meeting with the organ procurement company, they said, well, we're good. We're doing that. Now we're going to do that already. And
well, I would hope so.
And the federal government is also, HRSA is also putting those requirements. But it's important that we do them right here at home. We don't want to get fully into how these procedures are done. We don't think that's a medical, and HRSA is working on it. But it's very important that if there is an indication that there may be, like we said, a change in neurological status, an attempt to breathe, something that would tell the medical team, and not the procurement team, but the hospital team. The hospital makes that final determination that this patient is a candidate. And then it goes into the procurement process of retrieval, that they stop, they put a pause in procedure, and there is a reevaluation before a second declaration is then done, or the procedure goes forward. Yeah. So that bill is drafted. We've been working with all parties, with the bill sponsor, with the CODA, or formerly CODA, the organ company, and worked out the language. And I think you'll see that bill probably be ready to be filed this coming week.
We're speaking with Dia Wuchner, Executive Director of Kentucky Right to Life, and Lucy Bryson-Cole, the outreach coordinator there, who's come on board, doing a great job, and talking about issues that we're concerned about, particularly in Kentucky. And I know Kentucky has some questionable practices so in some other areas here, and you're working on some of those things for this session. I know you mentioned what's known as commercial surrogacy. Tell us a little bit about this, Dia, set it up for our listeners to understand and why they should be concerned about this.
Well, we call it, it's legal in Kentucky. What's crazy is it's legal in the United States, except for a few states. But let's talk about this. We're not talking about even altruistic, let's say, without being paid, except the medical expenses. You're going to carry a child for your sister or your very close friend who wasn't able to. That's called altruistic. We're talking about commercialization, large industries.
Big
and
difference
what
there, yeah.
brought it to mind for me was I was in Texas. We were going through Texas for our grandson's Air Force graduation, and I see billboards: be a surrogate, $60,000. College students, women, be a surrogate, $100,000. Call this number. And I'm like, what? And I began looking into it, and I thought, this is crazy. This is going on, advertising. Well, then I started looking at the marketing, and then I began to write about it and write articles of the concern. And what I found out is commercial surrogacy is banned in most countries: China, India, the UK, Spain, France, Germany. But guess what? It's not in the United States. We're open. We're just open to it. We don't sell corneas. You can't buy organs here in the United States, but you can actually have a woman carry a child and pay large sums of money to purchase a child. This commodifies life. It commodifies women, and it commodifies children. Now, somebody said, well, shouldn't a woman be able to do what she wants to do with her body? Well, there are a lot of things that we don't allow her to. We don't allow her to terminate the life of her child. We have laws against prostitution. But so as we look at this, we just say that this is not this commodification. It was sort of a shock when we started talking about it.
Oh, absolutely. Because it's just a conversation of women are not for sale, period. No part of a woman is for sale. Yeah. The womb, the child that they are able to produce. And when you take a look at it in that lens, it really digs just a little bit deeper, because we can't look at a woman's womb as a marketplace, as we did see in one of those graphics. And that's the overarching message in this piece of legislation.
And so, we won't stop with Kentucky. We hope to I brought it up a year and a half ago, and it just didn't resonate with a lot of folks in Frankfurt. Mm-hmm. And now I've been writing on it, speaking on it. We're going to take this all the way to Washington, D.C. And this should be restricted here in the United States, but we have to first start with our own state. Recently, people are kind of catching up with this. Dr. Moeller recently spoke had a whole segment on his messaging on it. I don't know if
we'll hear a clip from that right after the break when we come back. Okay. That's okay. But we're speaking here with Dia Wuchner, Executive Director of Kentucky Right to Life, and Lucy Bryson-Cole, the outreach coordinator for that wonderful organization. You can find them at KentuckyRightToLife.org. This off our Kentucky's Voice text line. Ladies, will Kentucky Right to Life be publishing voter guides this election year?
Well, now that is Kentucky Right to Life. So I say there's always multiple lungs. There's Kentucky Right to Life that works on the bills. There's the Kentucky Right to Life Foundation that has our scholarships and a baby box fund for helping communities get baby box. And there's the Victory PAC. And yes, the Victory PAC, Kentucky Right to Life Victory PAC, it's a 501c4 different organization, but a partner organization, will be beginning to look at those registered that are running for office, and they will be putting out a voter guide closer to the time in the primary.
Well, stay with us here on Kentucky's Voice. More with Right to Life in Kentucky and what's happening here, what you can do about it, how you can get involved. And we're glad to be joined today by some great folks, Dia Wuchner, Lucy Bryson-Cole, Jim Waters here with you, your host on this day. Don't you go away. You're the greatest of all. Stay with us.
Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
The reality is that it has opened up what can only be described as a Pandora's box. And that Pandora's box means that, as you will find out in the report here from the Wall Street Journal, you have single men going to agencies that serve single men with the creation of the embryos and then the hiring of the surrogates. And some of the controversies are about some of these agencies that have failed to deliver on their promises, but it also becomes very clear that this is a completely unregulated wild, wild west. So it's been referred to that way.
That's Dr. Albert Mahler talking about what we were talking about in the last segment and continue to be concerned about is what's known as commercial surrogacy, the commodification of children, making them like a product. This is a thing in America, and it's exploiting women. It's something we should be very concerned about. It's something that Adia Wuchner, Executive Director of Kentucky Right to Life, and Lucy Bryson Cole, outreach coordinator for that organization, are very concerned about and here talking about today. And Dr. Mahler pretty eloquently summed that up, the Wild, Wild West. And we see that. It seems like when we get one issue solved when it comes to life issues, there are 10 more that open up. Pandora's box, as he put it.
We love it when he said Pandora's box, because that's exactly what it is. There's so many elements to this. And, you know, I'd almost could do a whole show on it. There was the couple months ago that were in California, and they had 31. They identified 29 to 31 children that were conceived by various surrogates. Now, is this human trafficking? Is there signs of abuse? We don't know, but this just opens up a Pandora's box. And again, it is beyond, it is the commercialization. We don't sell people. We don't sell people. We made laws against that many years ago.
We did it one time called slavery.
I know. I was going to say that. We don't sell people, and we don't sell children. So you'll hear us talking more on this from here to Washington, D.C. Hopefully that we can get things moving, not just here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And it's a tender subject because everybody will say, Well, my cousin carried, I said, we're not, that's altruistic.
Yeah.
We're not talking about this. We're talking about big commercial businesses.
Yeah.
And as soon as I started talking about it, the first people that reached out to me were foreign entities, which I thought was very foreign surrogate companies that wanted to know why I had a problem with this form of a business. So wasn't threatening, just kind of questioning why I had.
Well, I'm sure you had some answers for them, and they needed to hear what you had to say. When we talk about an issue like this, and especially with Right to Life, people want to know, what can we do? How, and I think one of the things, obviously, is you can be educated about these issues. You need to educate yourself, make sure your family members, your friends, the people your legislators, make sure they're paying attention, educated about this. Great way to do that is to go to KentuckyRightToLife.org. But I also wanted to, we had a text on our Kentucky's Voice text line at 502-571-0970 that asked, is Right to Life information and explanations being distributed to Kentucky public schools, or has there been resistance from the teachers' unions? And I know one of the things we did want to talk about was human development education in Kentucky schools, Adia, and that seems like a good segue to talk about that. But what are you finding in schools in terms of educating and offering some of these educational materials?
I speak publicly all over, so it's not just what we do in Frankfurt. Lucy's going to be helping more kind of as we move forward, because there's got to be more than just me, right? Or more than speaking on these subjects. So I'm often asked to speak at schools. There's a whole program I think that we're working on behind the scenes, maybe at Trinity or the homeschool or the Christian groups. I'm speaking on eugenics, because modern eugenics, we could do a whole show on what's happening in eugenics here in our modern world. But, when we go back, I'm just going to talk about this very simple bill that we called Baby Olivia. It's been filed. We promote on our website, and we promote on, if anyone wants to call into our office, we can add them so they'll get the information sent out to them usually twice a week on bills to call into and what we're working on. But House Bill 359, sponsored again by Representative Tate. This is her last year in survey where she's decided not to run again. But we need to see this pass. This is a very simple human development education. It is passed in surrounding states, Tennessee, Ohio. Other states have already passed this. And again, it's, I have to say, if you come to our booth at the state fair and you see children, you see adults, their faces light up when they see this very simple video about who we are, how our life begins. In Northern Kentucky, the parochial schools they've adopted this program. Many groups, but we're still trying to move it forward and get it passed so that this very small amount of education would be shown to age appropriate groups with parents' permission in the public schools. So we hope that folks will call with their legislators to support and vote and move House Bill 359, which we call now Human Growth and Development, because it's been stalled in the Kentucky General Assembly for 3 years.
We have all this DEI, all these other issues. You would think that we wouldn't need a bill for this, that this would be something that would be welcome. But unfortunately, that's not always the way it is. Am I right?
Yes, you're exactly right. And the other side goes, oh, it's not medically accurate. Well, I was in E-Town last week at a pastor's breakfast and an education breakfast sponsored by Clarity Pregnancy Care Center. And Dr. Marquita Ball, who's a retired pediatrician, she presented and she gave even all the churches a thumb drive with this video on it and encouraged the pastors. And she said, as a pediatrician, it is medically accurate. So there's no question. I've heard from multiple pediatricians that this is, the other side always wants to paint it as, oh, this isn't so, or it's not accurate. So I wanted to give that clarification.
Right. But isn't it ironic? The other side's always talking about how our side, it doesn't care about science and doesn't base its views on scientific evidence. It's just the opposite. It's just kind of hypocritical in my view. But hey, we've got a few minutes left here. We're talking with Dia Wuchner, Executive Director of Kentucky Right to Life, Lucy Bryson Cole, the Outreach Coordinator for Kentucky Right to Life. You can find them online at KentuckyRightToLife.org. And we've got a few minutes left here today. Ladies, let's talk about what's coming up with marches. I know the March for Life is an important event here in Kentucky, and also you're going to be in Washington this week. So tell us about that.
We are. We're taking off to DC. Jim, I'm going to do something real quick if it's okay. I just want to plug 2 more bills and let people know since we're on air. Senate Bill 72 is the recruitment and retention of healthcare professionals. It's by Senator Douglas. It's often been known as the healthcare conscience bill. So if folks want what they can start to talk about, and we have talked a lot about addictive online platforms and protecting our children from social media. And Representative Matt Lockett, along with a whole slew of other legislators, has filed House Bill 227. And somebody said, why do you care about that? And I gave the example of how social media and how these young girls are being marketed, of course, with aggressive marketing for the abortion pill. So House Bill 227, those bills that we're supporting are already filed. But yes, the marches, though.
And please keep us before, please, again, I know you send out great information. Folks, you should sign up for the emails as well and keep yourself informed. So let me put a plug in there. It's KentuckyRightToLife.org. You can sign up to get updated information on these bills as they move through the legislature. And you can help. You can contact your legislator and tell them and talk to them about these bills. And you can do so intelligently when you read these newsletters, right?
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Yeah. So we talked about the march. It is the 53rd anniversary of the Roe decision in Washington, and we will be attending the march again. We partnered with the March for Life nationally, and we'll talk a little bit later about our own Kentucky March. I also serve on the board for National Right to Life. So there's business to be done. But Lucy and Lily Sumner, our U of L student, and Elizabeth, I think you just had Elizabeth on, who's the chair or president for Turning Point at U of L. We'll all be traveling together tomorrow and leaving for DC. And I have some surprises for them, so I can't even tell about it.
She hasn't disclosed all of her surprises yet, but nonetheless, I'm very excited to be getting up there.
Meetings.
Well, now I want to know what those are. What are those surprises?
Whether we'll go. Maybe some meetings on the Hill. We don't know yet. But it's every moment is kind of jam-packed. Then on Thursday, with the leadership group, there used to be the Thomas More Law Center. So it'll be a busy time. And then our own march, everybody's saying, what about the Kentucky March? It will be coming up on March 11th, pray and march in March. So 11th at our Kentucky Capitol. So we've got that coming back. And
hopefully it'll be warmer than it is today. We'll see. But hey,
we've also heard the president will be with us at the National March for Life. So
that's great.
No, I'm sorry, the vice president.
Please, yeah, we'll get set up so you can call in and give us a report on that. But safe travels, Dia Wushner, Lucy Bryson Cole from Kentucky Right to Life. I think we covered some good ground here today. And folks, you need to go to KentuckyRightToLife.org, and you need to support this show so we can keep doing these kind of shows and informing you. 502-571-0970. Let me know. And Jim Waters, thank you for joining us today on Kentucky's Voice. Have a great day, everyone. God bless. Be back with us tomorrow at 11.
Life is why we march. With joy, with conviction, with purpose. Because life, all life, is a gift. But before the cheering crowds, the homemade signs, and the celebration, it all starts with a heartbeat. A single moment that changes everything. A precious little gift, not wrapped in paper or tied with a ribbon, but full of promise. Every life is a gift, even when it's unexpected, even when the timing feels off, even when it's hard, even when the world says otherwise. We have been marching for over 50 years, and we will still march on, because the world needs to hear that every single human life is precious, and because our heritage as Americans includes the right to life. We march as heirs of a legacy of courage, hope, and joy, and on behalf of generations yet to come. We march because life is beautiful, unrepeatable, and perfectly unique. Life is worth protecting and worth celebrating. We march to be the voice for the voiceless. all life deserves a chance, because every single life is a gift.